Hard Knocks debuted the 2021 season last night on HBO. I watched it, featuring America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And it's funny, this morning, USA Today had a headline, 5 takeaways from Hard Knocks. I started reading it. I'm like, what am I reading this for? I don't need your 5 takeaways. I got a couple. Number one, I was not the biggest Dak Prescott fan. I think people that watch this show know that. I'm less of a Dak Prescott fan coming out of watching this show. What a whiner. What a whiner. Look, I understand you want to take every rep. I get it. You can't take every single rep. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He was very upset
that he couldn't.
That he was pulled early in this training camp a couple weeks ago because they want to give the backups some work. Danny Bonaducci, the backup quarterback. Well, Ben DiNucci is his name, but I call him Danny Bonaducci, which means nothing to you, do you? He was the star of the Partridge Family. Anyways, that was one. Dak, come on, stop whining. Let these other guys have some work. And then, of course, he ends up getting hurt. 2, the biggest one was Jera. When he was talking to the team, I thought it was the head therapist. You said it was the team doctor.
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah. So he's writing with an HB pencil these notes on Dak, talking with the medical staff on the phone. And we all take away different things. But my thing was this. He's eating a McDonald's Egg McMuffin, Jera Jones. And people are saying, well, what's odd about that? He's worth $7-8 billion. How's it he not have a Red Seal chef at his ready? You know, here you go, Mr. Jones. You know, with his choice, an omelet station.
Yeah, exactly. He's got Benedict or something like.
Right. An omelet station, a guy cutting a roast at the end of the table. Jerry, when you're done with the trainer, we have your choice here of ham, roast beef. Do you want that in your omelet, Mr. Jones?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
Realizing I watched a lot of television with the youngsters back in the day.
How about that?
I'll say it again. That cab driver in Bucha Rios, Mexico, when he said, Señor, you're español, mucho bueno. Why is that? I said, Dora the Explorer. That's why I learned so much Spanish.
I got to brush up on my Spanish, though.
Yes, you do. ¿Cómo estás? Uno más, por favor.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It got weird when they came home as teenagers and I was watching Hannah Montana by myself. But I told them that I like the plot line, which I do, and I'm a big Billy Ray Cyrus fan. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. I can guarantee you we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun over the next 2 hours here. Canada's daytime sports talk show. But, yeah, I'm here. You see I'm repping the Blue Jays. Moose is it Palm Springs or Palm Desert? I've never been to that beautiful part of the world, Moose. But they're very close to each other, right? You're in one of the two, maybe both.
Yeah, I'm in Palm Desert, but you're right. They're pretty much the same place. It's all one big area.
Okay, well, Moose is there for a little over a week. I'm a little envious, but I'm in paradise myself. And, yeah, Jeff Reinebold, speaking of, will be joining us from Hawaii. So there's going to be a lot of greenery on this program today. Jeff Reinebold, the defensive line coach of the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, a CFL icon. Jeff Reinebold will be with us in hour 2. I just can't wait. And we're going to be talking college football, NFL mock draft, and some CFL with Coach Reinebold. That's the guest. Boys, can you hit the quick 6 show horn? And we'll fire it up.
How about that?
In the quick 6, we got golf, NHL leftovers, a couple of hockey notes, NFL, the surprising news dropped by Derek Carr out of New Orleans. The Blue Jays are hot. And back home tonight to the Atlanta Braves. And then the NBA playoffs are ready to roll. Oh, my God, there's so much going on. But, Moose, we'll start with this. We could say what's everybody's weekends all about, but that's kind of what the sports is, okay? So you were traveling, obviously, down to Palms Desert. It doesn't sound like you missed much of the Masters Sunday, though. You were able to follow it in the air and in the airports and so forth. Rory McIlroy became the 6th golfer to earn a career Grand Slam when he won his first Masters title in dramatic fashion Sunday in Augusta. He birdied a playoff hole against Justin Rose, coming through when it mattered most. after giving up leads multiple times in the final round. Corey Connors was the top Canadian after finishing in a tie for 8th, but he entered the day 3 back, right? Darren, let me just tell you, that people did not tune in here for golf talk. I could also guarantee you that. But here was my day Sunday. I got up, went down to Cardinal Gibbons High School, watched a 7-on-7 football tournament. It was great. Toured around Fort Lauderdale, went to the Earls in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, they have one. It's amazing. Came home, watched 3 hours of Datelines. And as I was surfing through my phone, I saw, it's a 3-way tie at 10 under. Then it was a 2-way tie at 11 under. And then Rory's leading at 12 under. And then all of a sudden, wait, it's tied. We're going to a playoff. And Rory's chunked this into the bunker. Oh, my God. I got to tune it in. So I did. Oh, my God. We knew, Darren, that Rory McIlroy was going to make history either way, either for the good or the bad. And it all turned out nice again. What was your Masters Sunday?
Yeah, it could have not turned out that way, though. It was really close to going the other way. He was up by 5 or 6 shots at one point, and Bryson DeChambeau was going the wrong way, and Rory had got it to 14 under, and I thought, okay, he's going to be in a comfortable spot because he's been so close, and I know the nerves and the pressure. Doesn't matter how good you are, that creeps in, and when you've been denied a green jacket over and over, that can cause you really to make mistakes, and I think it did. In the back. I would look at this and almost looking at this as the greatest Masters ever. It's a big thing to say. I didn't watch Jack Nicklaus win his Masters. We look at, for me, in my generation, we look at 1997 when Tiger Woods won. We look at 2019 when Tiger won after all those years off and how emotional that was. This was right there because of the roller coasters. And Justin Rose is such a great player that's easy to root for, and he gets into the playoffs. And then, what we love about sports, and if you tuned in at the end, you saw Rory win it, and the emotion that he had at the end. He couldn't contain himself on the green, and there was 5 or 6 moments from putting it in to falling to his knees to walking down towards where you go to sign the scorecard in the scorer's tent, congratulated by everybody, and the emotion. And then he had to stop and fist bump again because he just was overcome with it. That's why we love sports. So it was a really cool Sunday, really cool thing to witness yesterday.
Yeah, this 2025 has actually, from a sports perspective, really been on a heater. That the NHL's been on a great run. It's been a great year for sports. It was a wonderful ending. Rich in Edmonton writes in. He says, "I know Rod's not a golf guy, but that was fantastic yesterday. Such drama." Yeah, and the thing is, I am a sports guy, and I'm a fan of human nature. I'm a fan of great stories. I'm like, I got to tune this in. Now, having said all that, and before we move on to what everybody came here to talk about today, which is hockey and football and some baseball, I was listening to Mike Florio this morning. I love him so much because he's so annoyed by everything. And for those that don't know, he's the host of Pro Football Talk. Started the website 20-some years ago. Now is on Sunday Night Football, right? Football Night in America on NBC. I just love him. Every morning, he's a prick. And he's annoyed by everything. And he just goes, I had to watch it too. He goes, but I hate golf. And when I was golfing, I felt terrible being out there for 5, 6, 7 hours and getting home mad, wondering why I spent so much money and all thinking of all the things I could have done. I'm like, yeah, that's me. But he went on to rip golfers and say they're the most selfish men that golf and take up all weekend golfing when they've been working Monday to Friday, not around for their family. I'm like, whoa. I'm not willing to go down that road. I don't care what anybody else does with their time. I just don't want to do it. Okay? Can people understand that? But I don't have a problem with golf or golfers. Just don't make me do it. So that's my point on all of that. Randy from Winnipeg writes in. He says, happy for Rory. Mike Weir won my favorite Masters. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in. He says, a snowy Saturday got me to watch the Masters. Normally don't, but the Rory story got me into it. Awesome to see. Arlen Bruce III says, great morning, RP and Darren. Just a quick briefing. That was my first cousin that was accused of the shooting at the Chiefs parade in 2024 and has passed away. Rest in peace, Denton Laudermill, a.k.a. Yeah. Sorry to hear that, AB. Our condolences. So to the hockey, and let me just stop this for a second. Get back on track. I appreciate everybody chiming in. And I'll tell you, the Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive, and you can save a bunch. Point two is the Winnipeg Jets clinched their first ever President's Trophy as the NHL regular season champions Sunday night. Despite losing 4-1 to the visiting Oilers, the Jets were guaranteed to finish first when Washington lost 4-1 to Columbus. Elsewhere, the Flames kept their playoff hopes alive. What a story they are. A 5-2 win over San Jose. The Leafs beat Carolina 4-1. Ottawa edged Philadelphia 4-3 in overtime. It was quite a Sunday. Just rolls over into tonight. I should tell you that you and I tied Friday night in our picks 2-2. So as we get into the final week of the regular season, I lead 181 to 179 in our aggregate of NHL picks nightly. There are 6 games tonight. It just rolls on over. We're going to be going to the Panthers and the New York Rangers tonight here. Let me just, before I get your take on the NHL weekend, if you were following it, Jets clinched the President's Trophy. Number 1 team in the regular season. John Ohm is in here going all goo-goo gaga about it, and he should. Way to go, John. Way to go, Jets. But there is a little thing called the President's Trophy curse. And that's our poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with an all-star speaker from EMJ Marketing's roster. Check it out at emjmarketing.com and look up Joe there. EMJ Marketing's poll question today is, will the Winnipeg Jets, I can't remember how I worded it, suffer from the President's Trophy curse? And I got to say, Darren, with a 1 out of 16 chance, even though they are the number 1 team, the last team to win the President's Trophy and go on to win the Stanley Cup was the Chicago Blackhawks in 2013. That was over a decade ago. Whether it's the curse or not, do we see them winning the Stanley Cup? I don't see them winning the Stanley Cup. And listen, it's not that I'm cheering against them. I've picked Dallas to win the West. I'm not cheering for Dallas. I'm cheering for either the Panthers or the Lightning. I don't really care. That's where I live. I got a show on those teams. So I'll say, yeah, they're going to suffer from the curse. Not that that's what's going to trip them up, but I don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup. How about you?
Yeah, I got to vote that it will be the curse that will get them, that they won't win the Stanley Cup, just because it's so wide open. It feels like this year, more than any other, the playoffs in the National Hockey League are wide open. Like, I look at, obviously, all 16 teams can win the Stanley Cup. But I go ahead, and I'm off the top of my head pulling 10 legitimate Stanley Cup contenders. And I don't know when it's been that deep. It's been, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of instances, but it just feels like there are 10 heavyweights in the playoffs, which makes it really difficult for any team to win the Stanley Cup, let alone the Jets.
Gary in Winnipeg writes in, the old fart. He watches us every day. We love him. He says, hey, good morning, Rod and Moose. It would appear the hockey gods approve of the Winnipeg Jets winning the President's Trophy. They sent us a sign of their approval in the form of a whiteout. And he sent a picture of his backyard covered in snow. He says it is divine intervention. Keep the faith. I would be very happy if the Jets won the Stanley Cup, but I would be just as happy if the Leafs won the Stanley Cup, just as happy if the Ottawa Senators won the Stanley Cup. I'm not cheering against the Winnipeg Jets. I want to make that clear. And it's in my Monday morning Goldie column today. I've dusted that off, brought him off the bench. Jets fans were trolling me last week that I incorrectly picked the Dallas Stars to beat them last Thursday in Dallas. And I'm like, guys, don't troll. Until then, you hadn't won anything yet. Now they've won the President's Trophy, but I don't think you're satisfied with that. So go into the playoffs. I don't know. Whoever goes the longest will become Canada's team. Nobody's anti-Winnipeg, but the odds still aren't in their favor. Are they the best team in the NHL, Darren? I guess we would have to say that they are, because that's what the President's Trophy is for. Are they going into the playoffs as the best team in the NHL? Really? For real?
I actually think that they are. When I look at that, you looked at Dallas has been at the top of the odds boards for a while now, ever since the trade deadline. And they had knocked Edmonton off that mark. Colorado's moved up, all the rest. And Winnipeg's never really had a sniff of being the odds-on favorite to win the Cup in terms of the betting public. But they just answer every test, the way they play against the Dallas Stars, knocking them off, coming and overtaking Washington to become the President's Trophy champions. They continue to get stronger, and they should be giving their fan base more and more confidence down the stretch that this team isn't going to fizzle out, but rather it feels like they're climbing as you enter the playoffs, which is a good place to be.
Freddie in Winnipeg writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. He says, hey, RP Show, did everyone feel the vibration from the 18th hole at Augusta when that large and tired monkey jumped emphatically to the ground from Rory's back? Yes, he got the monkey off his back, and that was the story of the weekend. There's absolutely no doubt about this. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and says, how hungry are the Jets this postseason? Well, we're about to find out. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, first round exit. I'm sorry, Jets fans. Hey, Brent, am I going to see you tonight? I'll come looking for you in the warmies. Panthers and Rangers going to get it going here tonight, which reminds me, Moose, we'll talk about potential GM openings in the NHL next segment or later on in the program today. I want to shift over to football today for the football lovers. And everybody's having fun with this in the comments section, so you guys tee off. But where are we? I got NFL notes here. Oh, first of all, baseball. The American League East leading Toronto Blue Jays kick off a 3-game series tonight with the Atlanta Braves. Easton Lucas gets the start for Toronto. He's been a pleasant early season surprise for the Jays after winning his first 2 major league starts. They lead the division 9-7. The Braves come in bottom of the NL East at 4-11. Football notes, the New Orleans Saints were thrown a major curveball Friday when NFL media reported that quarterback Derek Carr is dealing with a shoulder injury that could threaten his availability for the 2025 season. Carr is now exploring his options, which include surgery. Details about the injury and how potentially serious it could be were not made available. So Derek Carr doesn't look like he's going to start the season for the New Orleans Saints. They're picking 9th. There's not going to be a quality quarterback available in this draft in a month's time. For those that don't know, we have a lot of Americans watching the show, big-time football fans, well, on both sides of the border. This morning, Darren, Florio had an actual countdown going until round 1 of the NFL draft. That's how big of a deal it is. And I don't care as much as Florio does from Pro Football Club. He's saying the NFL network's reporting this. They're owned by the NFL. This Derek Carr thing was spilled on purpose, either by Carr or by the Saints. Apparently, they don't get along. I will tell you that I had a Las Vegas coach tell me that Derek Carr is uncoachable. You remember when I dropped that tidbit on this show and the Raiders fans went wild? Turns out I was right, which always ends up happening. Usually I've been summarily trampled by the Stampede, waiting for that to be proven right. But anyways, that's the biggest note coming out of the weekend. Derek Carr's hurt. Do they jump in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes? And I will say this, for those that know better than me, and there are many, I've never been to a pro day. Shadir Sanders on the weekend said he is the best quarterback in the NFL draft. He says if he goes to Cleveland, he'll change the culture. I love it. And Travis Hunter, he's thinking he's going to go to Cleveland too. They had a pro day together. I don't know what goes into a pro day. I've never been to one. Have you?
Never been to a pro day. No, I haven't. They'll run through some drills, they'll do some things, but what happens in a pro day, as opposed to the combine, I believe, is that the players are in control. They're in control of what they run, what routes they do, everything. They're in control of the pro day. They're putting on a showcase for scouts and team personnel, as opposed to being invited and the teams or the league is going to tell you what you're going to do. So Travis Hunter goes to the pro day and decided, I'm only going to be a receiver here because I'm the top-rated cornerback. Can't move up anymore as a corner, but I can show you how great of a receiver I am. So that's what Travis Hunter did. And we'll see what happens come draft day. But yeah, you're right. Big deal. And everybody's counting down to it now.
Jeff Reinebold of the Hawaii Reinebold Warriors, he's the D-line coach, will be with us in hour 2. We're going to talk about pro days, NFL drafts. He's a CFL icon, too. I don't need to tell you Winnipeg viewers who he is. Rich in Edmonton says, Derek Carr always had me wanting more when he was a Raider. Moments of greatness, and then he'd do something that would make you sick. And I think the Saints aren't willing to go any further down that road with Derek Carr. And again, a Vegas coach told me that he's uncoachable. That is not something you want beside your name. Brent from Wellington, Florida says, yes, sir, go Panthers. Go Cats, go. Okay, I'll see you tonight in warm-up. I'll come down to your seats. Bomber Boy says the Panthers will be first-round fodder. We've got golf, hockey, and football in so far, and a little baseball. We got a lot more to do when we come back. We'll be right back in the warm-up. We are live on the Game Plus television network across Canada and 32 states, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're broadcasting live from Studio 23, Hour 1, brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. And Landmark Cinemas now, Working Man, starring Jason Statham. When Levin Cade left his profession behind to work construction and be a good dad to his daughter, but when a local girl vanishes, he's asked to return to the skills that made him a mythic figure in the shadowy world of counterterrorism. Working Man, starring Jason Statham, in Landmark Cinemas now. We can bring the Moose in. He's in Palm Desert for the week. Oh, apparently we lost him. Clark just told me we've lost the connection with Moose in Palm Desert. So we'll get him, but I can handle this. That'll give me the opportunity to mention this. The final point of our Quick Six show topics is the final game to end the NBA regular season was a big one for seeding in the Western Conference Sunday, with the LA Clippers beating the Golden State Warriors 124-119 in overtime, clinching the number 5 seed. The Warriors fell to number 7. They will host number 8 Memphis Tuesday, with the winner earning the number 7 seed. This is the play-in in the NBA. The West bracket wasn't set until a final day that had numerous teams in the running for numerous positions. Denver got the number 4 spot and home court advantage against the Clippers. Minnesota's number 6 and will play the Lakers. Here, the Miami Heat are in a play-in against the Chicago Bulls, so I'm casually following that. And to be honest, it would be a good poll question today for you people. Are you following the NBA playoffs? I'm genuinely curious to know. I feel like in Canada, if the Raptors are out, you're not following it. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'll write this down for tomorrow. Tomorrow's poll, because we always forget the family of squirrels that we are. That would make a great cartoon show, wouldn't it? The Squirrel Family, VRP show. Tomorrow's poll, NBA playoffs, so I don't forget. The poll question is actually this. Will the Winnipeg Jets suffer from the President's Trophy curse? Just so you know, Darren, the results are around 50-50. It's kind of like the Jets fans are all voting no, and the rest of Canada and other teams are voting yes, and it's balancing out to 50-50. That's all. But Darren and I think, could both agree that they are the best team going into the playoffs by virtue of clinching the regular season title. Nobody's disputing that they're a great team, but the odds are 1 in 16 because it's going to be 16 great teams. 902-518-3033. And actually, I need to slow down. I'm going to read one comment per viewer. We can't have this continuing dialogue with the same people. I'll read one more from Gary in Winnipeg because it relates to tonight's game here in Sunrise between the Panthers and the New York Rangers. He says, last night, the Winnipeg Jets did not dress Hellebuck. Expect them to rest more of their star players for Wednesday's game in Anaheim. Jets are locked and loaded. I get everybody's going nuts in Winnipeg. That's not, well, wait, I'm excited for the playoffs too. Here tonight, Paul Maurice has said Anton Lundell's entire line isn't going to play. He also said this morning, Paul Maurice, Darren, on the Joe Rose show, that Matthew Tkachuk's tracking towards being healthy for game 1 of the playoffs. Amazing timing, how that's worked out with Matthew Tkachuk, and the injury suffered at the Four Nations face-off. But how do we feel about resting guys? Saturday night, Barkov didn't play. Turned out to be a hell of a game against the Buffalo Sabres and went to a shootout. I don't see anybody really whining about teams resting the players, in these final few games of the regular season. Have you?
No, I haven't, because this isn't an issue in the National Hockey League like it is in basketball. Basketball, they call it load management, where it happens all throughout the year, and you never know who's going to be in the lineup on a given night. I think fans that buy tickets at this time of the year have a little bit of an idea that, okay, maybe some guys will be rested if playoffs are clinched. Maybe some younger players will be in the lineup if a team is way out of the playoffs. There'll be some changes like that. That happens late in the season in hockey. So I think we're used to it. The expectation's been set, not a big deal.
We are going to jump around here. Jump around. John Ohm says, I hope Moose is golfing on his holiday. I was in Palm Desert last year. Lots of great choices, Moose. Do you want to talk about your week in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, what you got planned there?
Yeah, we're gonna do a little golfing. I'm gonna get the itinerary this afternoon. I don't make the plans. I just go where I'm told. So I got on the airplane and I got here. We'll make the plans this afternoon. I'll get the lay of the land. But we're gonna do a little golfing. There's some great restaurants down here. We're actually gonna head into LA at some point and check out the LPGA event. There's one going on in LA. And if we're lucky, next week, or at the end of the week on the weekend, maybe some Kings-Oilers first-round playoff series. I don't know if the schedule's, it's not out yet, obviously. But we might be here for the first 2 games, which should be in L.A.
See, this is what's great about when you're on. The energy just flows. You and I have the energy flow. Everything just, If you go read the Monday Morning Goalie column, I've talked about the fact that the Oilers and Kings have 3 and 2 games left, respectively, or the other way around, but they meet tonight in Edmonton, so they don't know. I'm sitting here, and I haven't told Brent from Wellington, Florida this, but I'm very seriously considering heading over to Tampa Bay for either games 1 and 2 or 3 and 4 of the Lightning Panthers series. But we don't know where that series is going to open up yet either, and the 2 teams meet Tuesday night at Amalie Arena, and I'm sure that Brent will be part of that trip. So bring it back, Rod. Have you ever ended up at the Palm Springs, Palm Desert Golf Course that Grant Fuhr manages? Have you been? The Oilers great?
No, I know where it is, but I have not been there yet.
Okay. Okay. So I was doing an event. And by the way, we're not doing enough events lately. We got to get more events. But I did an event, as you know, with Martin Brodeur, Grant Fuhr, Ed Belfour, Glenn Hall, and Bernie Perron. That was the 5. And I got to spend time with all of them. Were you with me for one? For the lunch when I went? Were you with me? Yeah, you were.
Not the lunch.
I was so...
Not the lunch.
Oh, you went to the event at night. Okay. So I said to Grant Fuhr, I'm like, Fuhrzy, what are you doing now? And he says, I manage a golf course in Palm Springs. I said, do you want to get into coaching at all? He goes, I manage a golf course in Palm Springs. Okay. No, he didn't want to coach. And interestingly enough, if you go back and look up Grant Fuhr's hockey DB, he did coach in Prince George, which I didn't know, and with the Coyotes in the Wayne Gretzky regime. I feel like he had enough of coaching with those two experiences with the Phoenix Coyotes and the Prince George Cougars. That's the one thing about Grant Fuhr. And I also asked him, just being a goalie guy, if it bothers him, the criticism of his goals against average, because it's up near 4. I think it's like 3.85 or something. I'm going to look it up right now. Does it bother you? He's like, no. I'm in the Hall of Fame. That, by the way, is the way that he talks. It was that day that I saw you. And I'm sitting here trying to remember how many Stanley Cups he's got. I want to say 4 with the Oilers, but I think it might be 5. And he's like, no, I don't care about my goals against average. You don't forget conversations like that with the greats. You know what I mean? Because so many people get hung up on the stats, you know?
They do. They look at the stats and they'll be like, he wasn't that good of a goalie because he had a goals against average of 4, or his save percentage was this, or whatever. And that's what happens when you look at stats. You don't get the full picture. You need to watch the games, or you need to, get firsthand those experiences. But on the coaching front, I think this is funny. He had probably 2 of the worst coaching experiences a guy could have. I mean, the era in Arizona was not great, so you're constantly getting pummeled by everybody. I get that. But in Prince George, not that I don't remember what the hockey was like, but your shortest, everybody listen to this, your shortest road trip is 6 hours when you're in Prince George. So you get on you have to do that all year long. You're like, this is not for me. And you don't realize, okay, most teams don't have to do the 6-hour road trips every single road game.
I wouldn't do it. Gary from Winnipeg writes in, he says, Darren needs some light in his room. He looks like Darth Vader. Rod saying, hey, Gary, we got it. If it's bothering you that much, close your eyes. We'll handle it, okay? Glenn Erickson, watching in Medicine Hat, writes in, he says, pretty sure Grant Fuhr is or was involved with the Desert Dunes Golf Course in Desert Hot Springs. The wind blows up there. It's one of those. I don't remember. I'm not a golf guy. From the Jug, watching in Saskatoon, he says, Kenny Albert is replacing Sam Rosen as broadcaster for the New York Rangers. I saw that this morning on social media. I'm like, shocking. He's the New York guy. He's Marv Albert's kid. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. And, yeah, I'm not surprised. People are just antsy. They can't wait. See, this is the thing. They want to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. And for the 16 teams that won't make it, what are they going to talk about? The draft? The will they, won't they? Because they don't have the playoffs to talk about. And so I put this in my Monday morning goalie column this morning. Darren, you and I kicked around how many GM openings there are going to be. We said Chicago, Buffalo, Vancouver. But after results of the last couple of days, I think we can probably put the New York Rangers on that list. I'll sniff around tonight in the press box at American Bank Arena and see what I see who's hanging out with who. Because it is, by the way, one big schoolyard, these pro sports leagues. It is. Detroit. Like, I don't want to speak out of turn, and I know these days in the media, shouldn't talk about other people's jobs. Chill out. If you don't like people talking about your job, you shouldn't have got into pro sports. Like, you saw Calvin DeHaan. Like, with your traveling, maybe you didn't. The Rangers defenseman ripped the front office of the Rangers for how they've been treated this year, and he kind of walked it back Sunday, but kind of didn't. Sort of saying that it was taken out of context, but he wasn't misquoted. They're all pissed off in New York. And in Detroit with Stevie Y, whom everybody loves Stevie Y. But the Detroit media is telling me that the fans are on his ass and on the Ilitch family's ass because the Wings really disappointed this year. I thought the Wings were going to be the team that got in. It was Ottawa that got in, and Montreal for that matter. Detroit took a major nosedive and disappointed. What are your thoughts on GM openings? Again, Chicago, Vancouver, Buffalo for sure. Buffalo, the Sabres for sure. Rangers, Wings, maybe Boston even. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, Boston's an interesting one. You have to know what the plan is. So if they've got a game plan in Boston and this is it, look, they've made all those moves at the deadline. If you're thinking about getting rid of your general manager, I don't think you're letting them make all those moves and completely restructure this organization and the way they're headed. Detroit's interesting. Like Stevie Y, I feel like he's got a lot of rope. But New York, you bring up the Rangers, and why not? Yeah, the Rangers have massively underperformed. And when that happens and you completely fall short of expectations, I mean, we talked Stanley Cup about the Rangers. At the very least, the playoffs. This is a catastrophic shortcoming in New York. I think everything needs to be looked at with that organization. And I'm sure the GM spot will be.
Well, it was last week. And I love Elliot Friedman. We talked about this a bit on this show. He's a real one. Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman is a real one. Sportsnet's insider. I worked with him at the Score 20-plus years ago when shortly after the channel launched. And he was on NHL radio last week saying, I'd like to tell you what the Rangers are going to do, but I have no idea. He goes, I'm supposed to be an insider. He goes, but their president is so erratic. And I believe his name's James Dolan of the MSG conglomerate. He goes, who knows what they're going to do? But based on what we've been hearing all year long and what Trouba said on his way out of town, I'm sorry, I'll say it. I've seen other guys say it. The general manager, Chris Drury, is the problem with the New York Rangers. That's what everybody's saying. I'm just going by what I hear. I'm not in on the inside. To be honest, I'm kind of shocked at the people that are saying it. One of those is Mike Rupp from the NHL Network, but he's a Devils great, a Rangers rival. He's probably relishing in reporting that Chris Drury's the problem with the New York Rangers. So we got 5, maybe 6 teams that might be changing general managers here in a wild offseason, and that's what those fan bases will be talking about in the absence of playoff series for their teams. We'll be back. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Progressive Insurance. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. I'm gonna get alive. Celebrating 35 years of music. I just wanna hold you close. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. I'm all boom, boom, boom. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. Moose is in Palm Desert, if you can believe. And we're getting good energy on the program today. It's funny because Matt DeBuck, who unfortunately you haven't met, at some point you will, Darren, the local famous high school coach here, Florida's most famous high school coach. He texted me Friday afternoon. He goes, "You seemed agitated on the show today." I said, I was. I said, usually by the end of the week, I'm ready for the weekend. Like, for instance, Culligan Water, CulliganRegina.com, they bring you hour 2 of the RP show. Somebody said last week on this show, Darren, that maybe the WHL draft lottery was rigged because the Regina Pats won it 3 times. And it's starting to get under people just getting under my skin. And it reminded me of Tiger King. Joe Exotic was misunderstood. He carried a gun because of people, not because of tigers. Do you ever think about Joe Exotic? Because I think about him a lot.
I'm going to take you to a store across the street in the Rockwood Mall from where I live. I go in there sometimes to, get a coffee or whatever else. And there's a place down underneath. You walk down a flight of stairs and it's this discount outlet area. Everything's like $5. And they've got Tiger King t-shirts with Joe Exotic on them. They're hilarious. So we'll pick a couple up next time when you come visit in Toronto. But it reminds me of Joe Exotic. So I do think about him time to time.
Yeah. Well, I need the weekends to just and just chill out. And that's what I did this. Usually by the end of the week, people have got me real annoyed. I went into a Walmart yesterday, and a girl came out. I was wearing these glasses, so I'm like, is she wearing her pajamas? Yeah, she was. There were satin pajamas with red hearts all over them. I'm like, who the hell would wear their pajamas to Walmart, to anywhere? Could you ever imagine? Like, come on. Is that what we've denigrated ourselves as a society to? Have you seen anything strange in Palm Desert since you've been there? I know you've just been there, but have you seen anything strange?
Not yet. But we'll make a trip out and see what's going on in Walmart. That's always the thing. Anything goes at Walmart, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but slippers and pajamas, apparently that's the dress code.
Well, I'll tell you what. People make a joke about Florida. This is where it's God's waiting room. People come here to die. Florida's got nothing on Palm Desert, Palm Springs. I was walking past the departure gate in the Calgary airport, the WestJet departure gate. It said Palm Desert departing 9:10. Blah, blah, blah. It looked like a box of Q-tips. It literally looked like a box if everybody lined up to fly to Palm Desert. You're by far and away way younger than the average age of Palm Desert, California. Anyways, Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta writes in, and I did not ask for the Mount Rushmore of goaltenders. It's kind of funny that Darcy wrote in. I was saying that I did that event with Glenn Hall, Bernie Perrant, Grant Fuhr, Ed Belfour, and Martin Brodeur. That's what it was. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in and he says, here he goes. This conversation has me wondering what the Mount Rushmore of goalies would be. He goes, Plant, Roy, Hasek, Brodeur is mine. I'm sure I'm missing someone. No, because the Mount Rushmore can only have 4. But for the older people that are watching, I don't know if you loved that night. It was the Kinsman dinner in Saskatoon as much as I loved it because I'm a goalie guy. But they had those 4 younger goalies on the stage, and then they brought out Glenn Hall, Mr. Hockey, who's from Humboldt. Played in 500 consecutive games, Darren, as a goaltender, without a mask. And if you remember, those guys were all sitting on stools, and they introduced Glenn Hall. He comes up, moving pretty good for his age, grabs the microphone, looks at those 4, and he goes, I forgot how ugly you guys are. Was that the night the Hanson brothers were there too? Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember. There's so many good Kinsman dinners, and we've been to lots of them. I don't know if the Hansons were there that night.
One of those nights, the Hanson brothers were there, and one of them, I know which one it was, but I'm not going to name him, got so drunk he fell off the stage. Literally fell off the stage. They were trying to perform. It wasn't like it was a random thing. They were in the middle of their routine, and he fell off the stair. He was so hammered. I'm like, I used to do that, and I got so much hell for it. Oh, well, it's just better not drink. It's funny when he does it, apparently, but when I do it, it's an embarrassment. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in, he says, good morning, guys. Didn't old Sweet Lou already get fired in Long Island, or did I dream that? No, Brian, I'll say this before I let you go. No, you got a couple minutes, Darren, before you go. That was fake news. That was April Fool's Day. I was sitting in the living room of Brent from Wellington, Florida, and he's like, oh, Lou Lamoriello got fired. This was a couple days after April Fool's Day last week. And I said, just check the date on that, Brent. And he went down. He's like, oh, yeah, April 1st. That's why it's not funny anymore, Darren. That's why it's not funny anymore.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Because you get those, I see social media posts and they come on my timeline maybe 3 days after it was sent or 2 days after it was sent or whatever. Yeah, it's not funny. People ruin it. It's where we're at.
Yeah, it's where you're at. Society, technology has ruined April Fool's Day. Write it down. We'll have a ceremony, but it's gone. Glenn in Medicine Hat. Where's your column, Glenn, by the way? I was waiting for it. He writes the 10 WHL Things column for rodpeterson.com. Maybe you've sent it already. I'm not sure. He says, on consecutive Sundays in April, we've seen Ovechkin and McIlroy achieve milestones. Sports are surely the best version of reality TV. For sure. Been saying it for ages. I love it. Paul in Humboldt writes in, and he says, as a fan, would you rather worry about 1, the President's Trophy curse, or 2, who your GM will be next year? I know that's a rhetorical question because obviously it's number 1. But I see people that say that the President's Trophy curse is not a thing. I do believe it. I believe it is a thing. I almost feel like you don't want to win it. You?
Yeah. Kind of, like, not to the point where I would be actively trying not to win it. I'm not going to go that far because you want to be playing your best hockey and not worry about that stuff. But you're right. Like, it is a thing where you can, like, oh, we won the President's Trophy now. Like, what are the chances of us winning the Stanley Cup? Not great. But the one thing about Winnipeg versus other teams that I think traditionally win it, Winnipeg hasn't been in first all year. And a lot of times, who the President's Trophy team's going to be. Like, for example, Washington, if they had won the President's Trophy, kind of coasting throughout the year, where Winnipeg has always been playing second fiddle to Washington, and then they climb at the end and overtake them to win the President's Trophy and hopefully continue that ascent right through the playoffs. That's what you want, putting your pedal down, not floating up here at 50,000 and just kind of hanging on to it and then kind of going in whole hum into the playoffs. The Jets have the pedal down, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Okay, go enjoy that California air. I'll see you in hour 2.
You bet.
We got mini overtime coming up, which includes a sports update and viewer takeover. Jeff Reinebold of the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors coming up in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus Television on this Monday, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We are broadcasting from Studio 23. It's another game night here in beautiful South Florida. The Panthers home to the New York Rangers. Final home game of the year for the Cats. They'll wind up the regular season Tuesday night in Tampa. I was talking about seeing this lady there's a girl wearing her pajamas to Walmart yesterday. Couldn't believe what I was looking at. Darren in Utah writes in, he says, a trip to Walmart will make you feel better about yourself. Carlos in Indianapolis says people wearing weird things at Walmart is a long-standing meme. It was just odd, you know? You two American football guys, tell me what goes into a pro day. Jeff Reinebold's coming up next hour. We'll get into it way more with him. It's such a big thing, pro days now, right? And the one in Colorado yesterday had a name. They called it the Ain't Hard to Find Showcase, starring Shitter, Sanders, and Travis Hunter. Here in South Florida, this is part of the reason why the hockey fans love us so much, Serena and me, and why our show's gone over so well, because when the Hurricanes have a pro day or certain players have a pro day on their own, all the media drops everything and rushes. It's a football state. I get it, but we don't. I could have gone to the Hurricanes pro day. I really have no interest, even if Cam Ward's throwing. I don't even know what goes on there. On the poll question, will the Winnipeg Jets suffer from the President's Trophy curse? The results are about 50-50. Casey in Winnipeg writes, and he says, coming in late, there's no such thing as a President's curse. Too many great teams. It comes down to healthy lineup and strategy. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, Tony Esposito has to be on the Mount Rushmore of goalies. Sorry. Nope. He's not even in the top 10 anymore. Sorry. That's the one thing that I'll have to say. I study this a lot. Sergei Bobrovsky of the Panthers just nudged Tony out of the top 10. You want to go by cups, you want to go by wins, you get Marc-Andre Fleury's got to be on there. I think. Probably, Dryden, Plant. There's a lot to choose from. Tony O, he doesn't make the cut. Sorry. Questions are coming in for Jeff Reinebold. He'll be with us in segment 2 of hour 2. Heavy Gym Sports headlines. The Montreal Canadiens look to clinch a playoff spot when they host the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. The Habs will clinch the second Eastern Conference wildcard spot with a win. Top Canadiens prospect Ivan Demidov will make his NHL debut. The Oilers and Kings meet in Alberta's capital tonight ahead of their first-round playoff series. Well, the matchup is set. Home ice advantage is not. The Kings hold a 2-point lead over the Oilers. Also tonight, the Canucks host San Jose. The American League East leading Toronto Blue Jays kick off a 3-game series with the Atlanta Braves tonight. Easton Lucas gets the start for Toronto. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. What all do you got for me out there? It's the biggest. Go read the Monday Morning Goalie column. I'm sure you would love what I've got written there for the hockey fans. It's the biggest game in Weyburn in 20 years since the 2005 RBC. The Wings are home tonight to Flin Flon, looking to close out their second round SJ series in Game 6. They had a 3-0 lead in the series against Flin Flon. Now it's 3-2. I'd kind of like to be at the Coliseum tonight for that. If you haven't had a chance, go search the Gavin McKenna goal from Medicine Hat last night, where the Medicine Hat Tigers went on to beat PA 5-4 in overtime to go up 2-0. It's top 5 goals you've ever seen. Not joking. And I'm going to talk about this with Moose next hour, because we were asking, what's the best goal we have ever seen? The McKenna one, it's all Sega. Came in over the blue line, stopped, did a dipsy doodle, twirled, went through 2 defense, scored. It was ridiculous. What are you laughing at, Clark? 902-518-3033. We will take a break and come back for hour 2 right after this. Smoke him if you got him. And Jeff Reinebold in hour 2 as well here on Game Plus TV.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at Podcasts Studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. I'm gonna get alive. Celebrating 35 years of music. I just wanna hold you close. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now.
Realizing I watched a lot of television with the youngsters back in the day.
How about that?
I'll say it again. That cab driver in Bucha Rios, Mexico, when he said, "Señor, your español es mucho bueno." Why is that? I said, Dora the Explorer. That's right. I learned so much Spanish.
I got to brush up on my Spanish, though.
Yes, you do. ¿Cómo estás? Uno más, por favor.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
And Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show here on the Game Plus television network. We're having a good one. I hope you're enjoying it. Jeff Reinebold coming up later on in hour two. He of the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, Mountain West Conference, NCAA. Moose is in Palm Desert, California, down there on a golf version. Oh, you turned around. Actually, it does look better. I got to give Gary in Winnipeg some props. Is that why you turned around? Because Gary said it was too dark where you were, Moose?
Yeah, you know what? I try to find a little sun. I got to find the best Wi-Fi spot, but you know what? I found a little better lighting situation.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so one football note before we talk a lot of hockey here. And actually, that reminds me, hit the quick six show horn, guys, if you don't mind. And we'll... For those that just tuned in, I'll get you up to speed. Rory McIlroy won the Masters. We talked about the last major he hadn't won. And we talked about our Sundays and us watching it and what it means. It was a fun chat. NHL leftovers from the weekend. Moving ahead in towards the playoff race here. Big game tonight. The Florida Panthers home to the New York Rangers. And I'm going to be scouting out around the press box what I see, sniffing what I smell and hear with the Rangers. And will there be some firings coming down the pipe there? And what other teams are going to be looking at firings? NFL, Derek Carr revealing on Friday, or at least the NFL Network did, that the Saints quarterback's going to need shoulder surgery. And people are like, you're just finding out now? There's a very fishy story there. And pro days, what goes into them? Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders held theirs on the weekend in Colorado. I've never been to a pro day. I said, what goes into it? Utah Darren writes in, he says, if you watch the NFL Combine, you've seen a pro day, except at Colorado. They do everything differently there. They had a name for it, Darren. They called it the Ain't Hard to Find Showcase. The pro day for Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. That's kind of your thing, right? I feel like you're dying to go to Boulder, Colorado to just see what's going on there with the Buffaloes.
I am. And, there's a group of friends. We're all looking at maybe going to a college game at the end of August, at the opening of the season. And that's one that's kind of in our list, is maybe going to Boulder, Colorado and seeing what's up. I'm curious. But you're right. That's Dion's thing. I ain't hard to find. That's what he says to the recruits, because he's on social and he's on everywhere. We ain't hard to find. So he's doing that with the showcase and all the rest. They're making it their own.
Yeah. Yeah, well, for years, it just seemed boring what was going on with the University of Colorado Buffaloes in Boulder. And it was. And then the Sanders family shows up, and all of a sudden, boom, ESPN showing up. There's reality TV shows. They got a Blenders sunglasses endorsement deal. Just bang. It's unreal. There's some energy there. There's a vibe. I was saying that I saw a lady walking into Walmart in her pajamas here yesterday in Pompano Beach, Florida. I asked Darren if he'd ever seen anybody going into Walmart in their pajamas. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes, and he says, aren't pajamas the official clothing choice for a couple of generations of young airline travelers these days? It is, and it disgusts the airline staff. Trust me, I've talked to them about it. BW in Edmonton says, Rod, don't you remember when Madonna was prancing around in just a bra in the 1980s? That was a shocker back then. Oh, I remember. Darren wouldn't because he was born in 87, but I remember her being banned from performing at Skydome in Toronto because it was too risque. She was singing in a bra. Oh, my God. And Bomber Boy writes in, he says, if you're a goalie guy, do you think Hellebuck deserves the Hart? I do. I wish I had a vote for it, and I talked to the Pro Hockey Writers Association chapter here, the president, about getting a vote for these awards, and he said that I had to be a beat writer, not just a columnist for the South Florida Tribune and the Cats and Bolts podcast, Darren. Just say, I'm not eligible. They're like, if you come down and you cover the Panthers every day, and you're at all the morning skates and all the news conferences, pre-game, post-game, I said, I'm not going to do that. So, no, I don't have a vote. But I would vote for Hellebuck. I've been part of those awards forever in the CFL. I'm a little biased. People know that. So I would vote for the goalie. Do you feel that Connor Hellebuck should be a finalist for the Hart, much less win it? What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's in the conversation.
Yeah.
I think when you look at some of the scorers, the guys up front and the seasons that they've had, they've been pretty impressive. But I think what Hellebuck's been able to do consistently throughout the course of the season, I think it's a slam dunk that he's the Vezina winner. And I think he should have strong consideration. I consider him the front runner for the Hart Trophy as well.
So 902-518-3033 is the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. Jeff Reinebold coming up next segment. That is in about 15 minutes time. So there will be a lot of football chat there. I wanted to get into the hockey chat here because it is the final week of the regular season. The Jets clinched the President's Trophy last night. That is the poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Do you think the Winnipeg Jets will suffer from the President's Trophy curse? Not since 2013 has a team won the President's Trophy for winning the regular season title and went on to win the Stanley Cup. I believe it's a curse. Some feel it's a coincidence. Darren and I both said, yes, we don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup. So I guess if you want to call that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but basically if you're going to call that the jinx, then yes. Look at it this way. The Panthers here, if they'd really, really wanted to empty the tank down the stretch, they could have. You can't tell me that the Winnipeg Jets, there's not guys playing with some hellacious injuries that we don't know about. There has to be. The Panthers have been resting guys for 2 weeks. They've been resting Tkachuk since mid-February. Sorry, but it's true. Paul Maurice just said on the radio this morning here, WQAM, that looks like Matthew Tkachuk's tracking for game 1 of the playoffs. Shocking. Tonight, an entire line is going to be rested against the New York Rangers. The Lundell line. Saturday night, I didn't go to the Panthers game against Buffalo. Serena went and covered it for us. did a great job, but Barkov didn't play. Sam Reinhart didn't play. They don't care about the points at all. So that's all. And they've won the Stanley Cup. They know what it takes to get to the top of the mountain. And Darren can you repeat what you said last hour about how nobody's complaining that the Panthers or any other teams are resting guys here in the final week or even 2 weeks of the regular season, unlike other leagues?
Yeah, well, we see it in hockey that you're not surprised. Basketball, the load management has kind of ruined it a little bit, especially for those fans that aren't in NBA markets. You go on a trip to LA to watch LeBron play, and he's out because of load management. You go to Milwaukee to watch the Stars, or, you go to wherever to watch your favorite player and they're not playing. That's a problem. In the NHL, you can largely expect, barring injury, your favorite players to be playing every night. Now, this time of year, we expect a little bit of resting and young guys to get opportunities. In football, it's the same thing when you get into the final week of the regular season. You don't expect everybody to be playing when the playoffs are locked up, and that's largely what happens. So not a big shock. And the Panthers went through this already once. They did. They went through it when they dealt with Kachuk getting out.
Whoop. We lost Moose in Palm Desert, California, and we got him back. We went went through it with Kachuk.
Live.
Say it.
Live, we are dealing with an earthquake. There's an earthquake happening here.
How about that?
In the moment.
Okay.
Hot damn.
Do you need to leave?
No, like the whole building was shaking. Cool, like crazy. Never been in an earthquake before, but there was an earthquake. And we just got a warning flashed on the phone, like an emergency alert that said earthquake warning, take cover.
Oh.
Never seen that before.
Well, you are going. Well, apparently it's a regular thing. I've never lived in California, so you tell me if you got to go. I can't sit here and say that I think you're going to be fine. We got some great comments that have come in here from the viewers on our topics, but it does remind me of October 1989, watching the World Series. I was on a school exchange program in Ottawa. It was called Encounters with Canada, sitting with all my friends in Ottawa watching the World Series. And Al Michaels, we're having an earthquake. What was it? Oakland, San Francisco, right, everybody? Oakland, San Fran. Was watching it live. That's what that just reminded me of, Darren. So thanks a lot. You're triggering a lot of people of my generation. Yeah. John Barker's watching. That's Jim's brother. He says, welcome to California. He's basically saying, chill out. Here in Florida, we have planes crash on the reg. No big deal. That happened here on Friday. Yeah, Rich in Edmonton says, you bet, Battle of the Bay. Yeah, San Francisco, Oakland. Was watching it with a bunch of my new friends on a high school exchange program in Ottawa. That was scary as hell. Same Rich in Edmonton says the Oilers aren't resting guys. They are legitimately ravaged by injuries. Could be a quick spring. Hoping to be wrong. Well, the Panthers, fortunately, are not in that position. They clinched last weekend and are comfortably in a playoff spot, and they don't care about going on the road. That's very clear in the playoffs. They'd rather be healthy, or they would not be resting guys. You dig? Allie is checked in from Texarkana. She says, happy Monday, RP, Moose and squad. You'll be happy to know, Allie, that I have picked the Dallas Stars to reach the Stanley Cup final, and they will oppose the Florida Panthers. Moose has picked Colorado versus Carolina in the Stanley Cup final. He picks them every year. One of these years, he'll be right. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, earthquake, mark that off Moose's bucket list. What else is on your bucket list, Moose? What else is on your bucket list?
Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't actually on my bucket list, but it is now. So, you know what? Kind of weird. It felt like a big wind came through and it's all fine. I was saying this, though, about Vegas. I do remember my thought that I was saying in the middle of the earthquake. You talked about being healthy, and that was the point with the hockey teams and resting guys. I mean, they ran into the problem the year before they won the Cup when Matthew Tkachuk couldn't finish the playoffs, and he had to sit and watch Vegas clinch the Stanley Cup, while he was unable to play, or he had the shoulder injury and really couldn't do much. Now they're taking the precaution, making sure he's healthy. Regular season doesn't matter as much. We just need to make sure everybody's ready to go for the playoffs. And, I think it's a good strategy for teams that want to make sure you're healthy and rested. That's important.
Paul Maurice has clearly said team health is more important than home ice. And again, that's why it's so important to win, everybody. As I've said a million times, winning matters because then you're proven and you know what you're talking about. He knows. From the crowd, Sanderson is watching, writes in and says, John Barker from the famous TV show Queer Eye? I don't know about that. I don't watch that show. I know his brother Jim Barker was on that show. I'm not a regular viewer. Brent in Wellington, Florida says travel schedule for the Panthers, Lightning, Leafs, and Ottawa is very favorable. Yep, for now, until last year's Stanley Cup final, which was the largest geographical distance in Stanley Cup playoff history for any final or any series for that matter, which home ice seemed to matter then, by the way, in Game 7. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta says an earthquake at 11:11. I hope it's not the big one, Moose. You're not old enough to remember Red Fox in Sanford and said, I'm having the big one. You ready for the picks tonight, Moose? You ready?
Yeah,
What are you laughing at?
No, I think that's funny. Well, I was just saying to Leanne the other day, same thing. I've been eating really well. I've been losing a little weight. And I said, look, I'm just not meant to be skinny. I love eating food. I said, maybe I'll just be content to just eat what I want when I want. And at 65, I'll just have the big one and go out on my own terms, right? So when you say the big one, it made me think of that.
Somebody of my generation or older, can you, it was Red Fox. It was Martha. He would say, I'm having the big one, Martha. Anyways, John Barker has clarified Jim Barker, his brother, was on the show once. Allie in Texarkana says, I am very nervous how my Stars are playing right now. LOL. Well, it's not the playoffs. Worry then. I don't know if you saw somebody wrote into our Facebook page yesterday when I said it's going to be a Dallas-Florida Stanley Cup final. They said, thanks, Rod. Now we know who not to bet on. We're inside a minute. Dallas-Detroit. Who wins tonight? It's Dallas for me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Chicago-Montreal. I'll take the Habs.
Me too.
Rangers-Panthers. I'll take New York.
Okay. I'll take Florida.
Utah-Nashville.
Utah.
Perfect. Nashville to me. They're on a roll. Far too late, the Predators. Kings at Oilers? Oilers for me.
Okay, I'll take the Kings.
And San Jose at Vancouver. Toilet Bowl. A friends and
Canucks.
family game. Only friends and family care. You're taking the Canucks? Okay, I will take the Sharks. I'm leading Darren 181-179 in the aggregate. We're out of time. Moose, go enjoy Palm Desert. Stay safe for the love of God.
I will. See you guys.
Jeff Reinebold from the Mountain West Conference's Hawaii Rainbow Warriors joins us next. We're going to talk NFL draft, college football, and a little CFL too if you're down. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour 2 is for Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, concerts, they've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check them out at seatgiant.ca. I have been wanting to chat with this guy for some time. The coach with the most, Jeff Reinebold, joins us. I can only think from his office I see, hey, Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Hey, is Darren all right? I never saw that ever. Like you're a live take from an earthquake.
I know, not since the '89 World Series, which I was watching live as well. It had all the feels of that, as you just saw. Thanks for tuning in, Coach, for that. Most importantly, how are you doing?
Doing great, Rod. It's a crazy time of year right now. The NCAA portal's about to open up again. You saw the drama with Lama Lava, the kid from Tennessee that tried to, I guess hold out or hold in or whatever, and then is now been dismissed from the team and is going to go somewhere else. It's just a crazy time right now in college football. We got, the NFL draft coming and CFL draft coming, and CFL teams will be in training camp soon. So it's great. It's a great time of year.
It is a draft coming up. Pro days are going on. I honestly don't even know where to start with you other than to ask you how your season was. You said this was your dream job. Did it end up being that way with the Rainbow Warriors last year?
Yeah, we had a 5-7 season, finished really well. New Mexico, we played New Mexico in the last game. They were trying to get bowl eligible. They need to beat us to get bowl eligible. We blew them out. We got a young quarterback who started his first game and threw for over 460 yards and 4 touchdown passes. So all of the signs are, very much like we were in 05 when I was here, and we went 5-7, and the next year went 10-3, and then the following year 12-0. So I think our team's about ready to jump off. But the Mountain West is a tough league, as you know.
Yes. And, Coach, I have a tough time believing this is a fact, but you coached Matt Dubuck in Winnipeg, correct? Did you not?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
His kid is the long snapper. His kid is the long snapper at New Mexico, and I'm actually considering going out there to watch some games this year. Maybe I haven't looked at the schedule yet, but isn't that wild?
That's crazy. Now, how do you? Because Matty was an interesting kid, and we got him from Toronto. Toronto, I think, drafted him first in the first round, and then we got him from Toronto. I really enjoyed him. He was a great kid. Great kid. And it's awesome his son's playing now.
Yeah, 3-time state champion here at Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale. Next time I see you, I'll go through. Daron Carter's his receivers coach. It's a whole thing. But okay, Shedeur Sanders. That's why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
We all know Cam Ward's going number 1. If you had the number 2 pick, would you take Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter or somebody completely otherwise? Talk about the drama at the top of this draft, if you don't mind.
Well, I think you're right about Cam Ward. Cam Ward will be the first player picked. Tennessee will take him. And then it comes down to Cleveland, who has a quarterback need, but they also have some other serious needs. And I think when you look at value for the second pick, I think Travis Hunter's got to be at least in the conversation, Rod, because you got a guy who has a first-round grade as both a defensive back and as a wide receiver. And now, will he be able to process all that information and play all those snaps? I mean, guy was playing over 80 snaps a game as a college player, sometimes as many as 100 snaps in a game. And that kind of workload at 188 pounds, I just don't see it happening in pro football, because you're talking about full-grown men, when you get up to that level. But certainly Travis Hunter is a tremendous talent. There's a rush end from Penn State that may be the best defensive player in the draft. And certainly if you're Cleveland, you say, okay, do we go that way and, put him on the other side of, arguably the best pass rusher in the league right now. So everybody's got needs. Everybody's going to have a plan. I think there's a lot of intrigue that'll go on between now and then. And you talk about Shedeur, and if a Shedeur doesn't go to New York, with the 3rd, then he may go all the way to the 9th, where New Orleans, Carr is nicked up, and they're going to be looking for a guy long-term. I have a friend of mine who had an opportunity to be on the staff at Jackson State and Colorado with Dion, and saw, the kind of the rise of Shedeur, and he really likes him. Says he's a great kid, works hard, wants to be great. There are some things in his game, Rod, that you would have a concern about. Took way too many sacks. Now, what is that a product of? Is that an inability to know where the rushers are coming from? Is it a schematic problem? I think you have to look really close at that. He is not a great big arm guy. He's got enough arm, but again, then you look at his productivity, and it's a production-oriented business. And he's 70% completion guy, 3-to-1 touchdowns to interception ratio. The sacks thing and the amount of time he holds the football trying to make plays, those are the questions that you have.
Yeah. Well, so here I saw Cam Ward live against Florida A&M because Henry Burris is coaching at Florida A&M. You probably know that. Hank said, come to the game. So I did. The Hurricanes rolled him. But Cam Ward, to me, looked like Warren Moon. I'm like, this is a man. He's ready to go. He could start in the NFL right now. But with Shedeur, I heard this on the weekend. All he's got is football sense, and that's all. Football IQ. I'm like, well, that's a lot. But the difference between the NFL and the CFL, look at the Doug Flutys, the Dave Dickinsons. Football sense is what got him into the Hall of Fame, Coach. Is the NFL different that way? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so. I think, first of all, you have so much information you have to process, and your football IQ is valuable. The bottom line with playing quarterback, you got to be able to know who to go to with the ball. And, there is so much to it. Trent Dilfer told me one time that you can't even begin to know. And he's a guy that came out of Fresno State and was the first player picked by the Bucs and all that stuff. And he had to go through some real rough times in his career and then go to Baltimore and to win his Super Bowl. But he said, Jeff, you can't understand the enormity of the position, everything that goes into it when you are the face of the franchise. Now, here's where I think Shedeur has an advantage over other guys, Rod, is that he's been around the circus his whole life, right? I mean, this whole is not going to be too big for him, is what I'm saying. Now, will it be too fast for him? That's another question. And, the windows that you throw into in college football are completely different than the windows you throw into in pro football. And the speed of the defenses and the amount of coverages that you see and all of that stuff. And that's one of the reasons why the quarterback position is the hardest position to play in sport.
Well, and for you, when you're recruiting to Hawaii, how do you feel about a player's confidence? Because Shedeur is saying wherever he goes, he'll change the culture. I've never met the kid, but he sounds like his dad all over again. Do you like to hear that when you're talking to a player, or do you not like to hear that?
Well, I think humility is always good, but also confidence is critical because, again, he's going to go from being a kid, right, a 21-year-old man, into a locker room with guys that have done it for years and are Pro Bowlers and those kinds of things. And your ability to withstand, that scrutiny, withstand that pressure, withstand, they're all going to say, hey, okay, show me what you got now, kid, right? I mean, the draft is over. Now you got to put your big boy pants on and play. And I think he'll be fine that way. I don't think that's false bravado with him, and I don't think it's arrogance with him. I think he just really, truly believes, just like his dad, that he belongs. And he's, as the commercial says for NFL Network, he's the most guaranteed guy in the draft.
Well, that's good. I haven't been watching the NFL Network a lot lately. I should have, apparently. BW in Edmonton writes in and he says, I miss the coach's weekly visits on the RP show. We all do, but hey, people get Jeff got busy. I didn't. I'm not that busy. But Coach got busy
listen,
up there.
You always know, Rod. All you got to do is ask. I love being on this show, because it's a way for me to kind of touch Canada again. I know you're working out of Florida now, but still, this show goes across Canada, and the following that you have up there is huge, and it's a nice, touch of home.
I appreciate that, man. It is for me too, and I'll be May 28th. I got a one-way flight booked up to Canada for the summer, June, July, August. I cannot wait. Just on that Dubuck thing with Winnipeg, you were a baby, Jeff, in Winnipeg. You were a baby coaching that team. Looking back, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be honest with you, Rod. I think I probably got that job at that time. And you got to remember what the league was like at that time. We were in real distress. And I might have got that job maybe because nobody else wanted it. But it was, I think back on that experience, and I have nothing but good feelings about it. The people in Winnipeg were wonderful to me. The people in Canada have always been wonderful to me. I thought, did some good things. If you look back, I think we had 4 or 5 offensive linemen retire or leave before the season started. Our quarterback left. And there were so many things going on that we were trying to flip a team, right? Because the team had gotten old. They made the playoffs, got blown out in the playoffs again, going up to Edmonton. And we said, okay, let's go and start over. And we built, I think, a pretty good football team. We just didn't get a chance to coach it long enough, to win enough games to stay, which that's the business. And if you don't perform, it's a high performance industry for everybody. You, me, the players, everybody.
Well, I just know that with the dire straits that Edmonton's gone through the past couple of years, and an empty stadium, there was talk that was the worst state any CFL team's ever been in. And Milt on the panel, if you watch the TSN, which you do, Milt was like, I'll tell you about some times in Winnipeg. He's like, they got a long ways to go before, right? Like empty stadium, and because Milt was a rookie, was he not? When you were there?
Milt, Milt actually had played the year before a little bit, and then he got hurt at the end of the season. And then he had a great year for us in the first year we were there, and ended up, that was, we had done the deal with the devil, if you will. We had allowed the NFL to come up and take our guys who were in their option year, and they could get them, they got out of their contracts. So Milt went, I think it was to the Saints, if I remember correctly, and he got hurt in training camp. And then he came back to us the second year and, still played really well, but he was really kind of playing on one leg. He was tough and played through it. But that year, that first year that he was with us, he lit the league up. And that he parlayed that into an opportunity to go to the NFL. That's one of the other things people don't remember. We had our nominee for Defensive Player of the Year, Shantae Peoples, who we had gotten from Saskatchewan. Ooh. He came in, led the league in sacks, and then we lost him because of the same thing. But it was a deal that we had to do because at that time, I think it was $500,000 was given to every CFL team by the NFL, and it was a deal that Hugh Campbell had brokered, and that kept a lot of teams alive. And so it was a deal that we had to do at that time. And certainly for us, when you lose your best offensive player and your best defensive player going into your second year, it makes it more difficult.
It was the Saints. I just looked it up. And by the way, what a zany time in the CFL that was. You're right. Don't do a deal with the. We're going to give you all $500,000, but here's what we need. Sure. The business guys would say, go ahead. Now you go coach these guys, coach. Yeah, I get it. What a time. What a time. At least we're not there anymore, as a league. Which, by the way, there's a million questions have come in from the viewers. If I can just. A quick one from Tony in Cochrane, Alberta. He's a big Browns fan. He says, does Coach Jeff think Abdul Carter is undersized for a rush edge like I do? That's the Penn State guy you were talking about, obviously.
I think if you just looked at him as an edge guy, all right, and you would say there's some questions. He's got a foot injury that they're going to have to make sure is healthy. He is not the biggest guy in the world. But Parsons, who is kind of like the precursor to this guy, and what he's done in Dallas, I think, is an indication of what he gives you from a flexibility standpoint. He can play off the ball as a linebacker. You can blitz him from there. He can go to the edge. He can play everything, but maybe except defensive back on defense. So I think when you're a coordinator and, if you can't get to the quarterback, and we saw this in the Super Bowl, Rod, the biggest difference between the Chiefs and the Eagles was the Eagles front seven just dominated the line of scrimmage. And so if you've got great pass rushers, just like Montez Sweat was, Sweat was such a dynamic player in the game, you have a chance. And so it's hard to find guys who can affect the game that way. And I think, this kid Parsons is legit. I really do think he's a good player.
You're going to get paid. That's my team now, the Cowboys. Just lastly, you talk about what's going on in college football. I was at FAU's spring game here the other night, and then the Hurricanes played theirs on Saturday. The stress. You can't build anymore. The players are in and out. I'm looking at these coaches. Is it more stressful than it's ever been for a guy in your shoes and a head guy?
I'll be honest with you, Rod, because of my experience in pro football, where you had, and the CFL was a perfect example. We had free agency every year. So teams never stayed together. And so for me and for Dennis Thurman, two guys who came here from pro football, it's kind of like business as usual for us. Now, guys that have never experienced free agency and never looked at, okay, where you may have a guy and you think you're going to have him for 3 years and he's gone in a year. Well, you just got to constantly reload, and you got to constantly understand that you're going to churn your roster over continuously. It's good for the players. I think it's sometimes toughest for the fans, because you fall in love with a player and that guy's going to go do what he needs to do for his family and his career and his economic well-being. And as fans, I think it's a little harder to understand. But as I said, because I was in the CFL, I think, I'm kind of conditioned to it.
Chaos Football League, of course. Coach, fantastic chat. Great to see you. Thanks for the time. Don't be a stranger, man.
All right, let's do it again before the draft, Rod. I'd love to do it. Appreciate you, man.
That'd be fantastic.
I miss you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you. Miss you, too. We'll be looking you up. Coach Jeff Reinebold checking in from the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Oh, an absolute icon, a human being and coach. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover after this. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. I'm gonna get alive. Celebrating 35 years of music. I just wanna hold you close. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. I'm all boom, boom, boom. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay. You're going to find out. Everything is happening. To quote Bob Cole, we're broadcasting live from Studio 23, where it's another game day here in South Florida. The Florida Panthers are home to the New York Rangers tonight. Here's a little inside joke for your story. Brent from Wellington, Florida is sending me what I thought was the top 10 rankings from ESPN of our baseball league, of which I announced for the Wellington Wolverines. Had Wellington at number 2. Then I look at it closely. Wait a minute. No, this is flag football. So I thought it was Brent's team. Yeah, ESPN has top 10 rankings for the flag football teams. Not even joking. And then I find out, no, it's not Brent's kids' team. It's the high school team. But I'll be missing baseball playoff announcing tonight because I'll be at the Panthers and the Rangers, and I'm pretty happy about being at the hockey game. Sorry, I got to miss Wellington Wolverines baseball. There's just a lot going on. 902-518-3033 is the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive, and you could save a bunch. Huge hockey game in Weyburn tonight, biggest in 20 years in the Crescent Point place. Wings looking to close out Flin Flon. What the hell is this? Leonard in Melfort, or from Melfort, writes in, good morning, Rod. I got back to Melfort from Arizona Friday just in time for the Melfort Rotary Club Sports Recognition Night on. Thanks for the list, Len. I can't read this on the air. I appreciate it, though. Congrats to all those long list of winners. Heavy Jim sports update. In today's NHL action, the Montreal Canadiens can clinch a playoff spot when they take on the visiting Chicago Blackhawks. A win will give the Canadiens the second Eastern Conference wildcard spot in their first trip to the postseason since they went to the Stanley Cup final in 2021. Demidov, the Russian prospect, making his NHL debut tonight for Montreal. That should be good, but I would say temper your expectations. It's a playoff preview tonight in Edmonton as the Oilers host the LA Kings. The two teams are destined to meet in the first round, though home ice advantage has yet to be sorted out. Oilers enter the game 2 points behind the second-place Kings in the Pacific Division standings. Elsewhere, the Vancouver Canucks host San Jose. We've got our nightly predictions in the first segment of this hour with Moose and I. We're into the final week of the regular season. I'm lead Moose in the pick pool, 181 to 179. The Toronto Blue Jays are back at Rogers Center tonight as they open a 3-game series with the Atlanta Braves. Toronto went 4 for 5 on their recent road trip, 4 and 5, which was good enough to return home in first in the American League East. Before the game, Jays star Vladdy Guerrero Jr. will meet with the media to discuss his new $500 million 14-year extension. The Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It is about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Exciting night in sports, indeed. What do we got here? It was interesting, wasn't it, that chat with Reinebold? I hope you got as much out of it as I did. Because I'm telling you, it depends how you look at it. Outright chaos in the college football world. And I enjoy, that's like the homework for me. I had some people here that just found out. They think it's really cool that this guy living in Boca Raton, Florida, hosts a show on Canadian television that also airs in 32 U.S. states. And a guy by the name of Eric said, how do you prepare for that? And I said, I watch sports. I stay on top of sports. But I focus mostly on football, hockey, and baseball. Obviously, had to watch the Masters final round yesterday. But football really is, one of my passions. And I see these college coaches that are just, they need to go get some anti-stress tactics, maybe some anti-anxiety medication. I don't know. Because a deal's a deal, isn't a deal, players dropping in, dropping out. You used to think you had a player for 4 or 5 years. Now you got him for 1, maybe. And Reinebold made a really good point because, follow along, the young people won't probably know this. Most of the old people will. All the things you go through in life should prepare you for the things you will face later in life if you're smart and you paid attention. Professionally and personally. And as Jeff Reinebold said, hey, navigating this crazy college landscape right now, it helps a lot to have worked in the CFL where we had free agency every year. Because to be honest, I joke about Reinebold's age. I'm no spring chicken. I remember how business used to be done in the Canadian Football League because Eric Tillman was a close friend of mine, and he would set me down, Brendan Taman too, and explain how they would project not just 1 year, they would be 3, 4, 5 years out. Both Grey Cup winning general managers, by the way. Tillman won 3. You can't do that anymore. So how are you going to go about your business when you can't plan 3, 4, 5 years down the road? It would be very stressful for me, but I'm not a college football coach or a college football general manager. And Reinebold just said, we went through it in the CFL. It's not that much different. And when you get your mind around it, it's actually kind of entertaining, but also a little shady if you're following what went on with the Tennessee Volunteers on the weekend. Their quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, that's his name, walked out. They were supposed to have practices Friday and their spring game Saturday and didn't show up for practice. The team found out, and I'm not sure how they found out because the players stopped talking to the coaches. Oh, I'm not happy with my $2.4 million NIL deal. I kind of would like to get the $4 million that the guy with the Miami Hurricanes is getting. Carson Beck. Tennessee ripped up his deal, and he's going into the transfer portal. A deal is a deal isn't a deal anymore. And that used to be, we used to say, it's not a handshake league. Well, that sucks, but at least we've got it, written down. That's not a deal anymore either. How do you do business in that environment? I don't know, but I'm not a coach. Thank God. Okay, overtime is next. 902-518-3033. Get your questions and comments in. We'll be right back. Here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcast wherever you enjoy your podcast.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. 3. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Overtime is for Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. And Clark, if you don't mind, in a second, let me know what the poll results are at. We'll get to tell you what the poll question is. We haven't talked enough about it today. Well, we did earlier, not as much lately, but Overtime Hockey Lanes brings you this overtime segment, and they want you to know that nobody does birthdays like Overtime Hockey Lanes. So for the hockey-obsessed birthday boy or birthday girl in your house, let Overtime Hockey Lanes handle it. Put it on Randy and Michelle, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Year-round, there's always something exciting happening at Overtime Hockey Lanes where skill and fun collide. Poll question for EMJ Marketing is, will the Winnipeg Jets suffer the President's Trophy jinx? There you go. Transform your audience with an elite speaker from EMJ Marketing's all-star roster. Check it out at emjmarketing.com. I voted yes, and Moose voted yes. What's the voting poll say, Moose? Or Darren, sorry. Clark, sorry. What's the voting on the poll? Yeah, 56% saying no on YouTube, that they will not suffer the President's Trophy jinx. Well, we have a very high Winnipeg viewership, as you all know. Number 2 to Saskatchewan. So I hope they're right. I hope they're right. I also know that the viewers enjoyed the football segment with Jeff Reinebold, and the exciting thing about him, he can talk about football at a variety of levels, obviously, NFL, college, CFL. He could talk flag if you asked him about it. But Carlos in Indianapolis writes in regarding this era of college football. He says, we're not in the loyalty is a virtue era anymore. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I'm worried about the future of NCAA football. 18 to 22-year-old entitled kids rarely make sound judgment when making decisions, even more rare when you throw wads of money at them. Yeah, it would help to speak to your local spiritual coach, like I have a couple, actually, that help me out with things. A counselor, a therapist, how to deal with things that are out of your control, not to get overwhelmed. Because I don't even work in college football, but we all get wound up just watching this stuff. Again, they just call him Nico Iamaleava, the Tennessee quarterback, who, if you care, this is the Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville, not the Titans, had a $2.4 million deal for 1 year to play for this upcoming season at Tennessee, and he walked out on it because he wants more. Wasn't that long ago they were getting nothing. And the football pundits are saying, good kid getting bad advice. Now, this could end up falling his way. He's going to go into the transfer portal. He's now a free agent because Tennessee ripped up his scholarship, an NIL deal. And they say that he's probably going to end up going to Ohio State University, the reigning college football champions. They're college football's version of the LA Dodgers. It might end up working out for the kid. But as you say, you worry about what the kids are doing. I can tell you some really ugly stories of the coaches bouncing. There's a lot of them. Not as many stories of the players because there aren't as many coaches, but monkey see, monkey do. Carlos in Indianapolis says that now it's been memed into I'm a lever. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Vince in Manitoba. He writes in and says, back to the President's Trophy. Can we just celebrate the consistent effort it takes to win the trophy versus whether it has any bearing on the Stanley Cup? I'm all for that. Thank you. And more than anything, it's just a fun discussion point. When I say it's my prediction on the weekend in my Rod Squad newsletter is a Dallas-Florida Stanley Cup final, so that I'm cheering for anybody in the West. Certainly not cheering for Dallas. I don't have any ties or affection for that organization. I've been enjoying reading the game notes on all these things. Mikko Rantanen versus his former team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think the goaltending isn't even close. I think Dallas wins the series, but it's not like the first round's the easiest to win. I've seen that happen in football. It doesn't happen that way in hockey. It gets harder every round. And I may be wrong. I'm not cheering against Winnipeg. Not cheering against Toronto. I'm not cheering against Edmonton. Would love any of the Canadian teams to win. And then here with Florida, it's interesting. What they're doing on a nightly basis with their roster. Yeah, you just can't put any stock in what you're hearing. Paul Maurice saying last week they're shutting Sam Bennett down for the rest of the season until playoffs. Just saw it announced. Sam Bennett's playing tonight. A week ago, you said he's not playing for the rest of the regular season. They got 2 games left. He's going to play in. Yeah, it's just we want to believe what we hear. We've been conditioned to believe what we hear. And you shouldn't be, because you'll be very disappointed if that's your expectations. Allie in Texarkana says, have a great day, everyone. Great show as always. Thanks, Allie, for dropping by. Tony says, great show, Rod. Take care, Moose. Sun's out, guns out this afternoon. Let's hope Moose doesn't get swallowed up with an earthquake in Southern California. That really is the main concern here, I think. Yeah. Nice to have Clark back. Nice to have the whole gang back. We'll do it all again tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
I had this steak! How about that?